War brings people to high in the pine-scented mountains of Spain during the Spanish Civil War. American professor turned dynamiter Robert Jordan meets a band of Republican guerrillas. The cave that serves as their hideout sits precariously on the mountainside like the Republican cause itself, vulnerable yet persistent. Jordan has been assigned to blow up a strategic bridge, to coincide with an upcoming offensive against the fascist forces. The cave's rough stone walls shelter an unlikely family of resistance fighters led by the unreliable Pablo, whose once fierce commitment has deteriorated into cautious self-preservation. His strong-willed wife Pilar, whose weathered face and commanding presence hold the group together, provides the true leadership. The mountain air carries tension as Jordan explains his mission while assessing which of these people he can truly trust with an operation that could cost all their lives. Around the warmth of a small fire within the cave, Jordan's eyes meet those of Maria, a young woman with closely cropped hair growing back after her traumatic experiences. The flames illuminate her face as she serves him food, and an immediate connection forms between them. The intimate circle of firelight becomes a space outside of war, where their attraction can cautiously blossom. Later, as Jordan discusses strategy with Pilar, we learn that Maria was rescued from fascist forces who had killed her parents and subjected her to terrible abuse. The cave that first appeared as simply a military hideout reveals itself as a place of recovery and human connection. Meanwhile, Pablo drinks wine in the shadows, his face reflecting both resistance to the mission and the internal conflict of a man who has seen too much bloodshed. His skepticism serves as a counterpoint to the idealism that drives Jordan and adds complexity to the group's dynamics as they prepare for a mission with uncertain odds. Venture out to the forest clearing where Jordan meticulously examines the bridge he must destroy. The stone structure spans a gorge where it can be seen from multiple positions, making the operation dangerously exposed. The sunlight filtering through pine branches illuminates Jordan's notebook as he makes technical calculations and sketches the terrain. This peaceful, natural setting contrasts with the violent purpose that brings him here. As he works, Jordan's mind drifts between focused strategy and broader questions about the morality of his actions. He wonders about the people who built this bridge, those who cross it daily, and those who will die during its destruction. The clearing becomes both a tactical planning room and a philosophical space, where Jordan contemplates sacrifice duty and the meaning of his participation in a foreign war that he has made his own through commitment to the Republican cause. Beneath the shelter of pine boughs under a clear night sky, Jordan and Maria lay together on his sleeping roll. The forest floor becomes their bedroom as they share their bodies and whispered confidences. The earth moved, Maria says after they make love, describing a transcendent connection that momentarily erases the war surrounding them. Their intimate sanctuary contrasts sharply with the danger that awaits with daylight. Jordan, who had previously viewed life as something to be lived one day at a time, begins to imagine a future with Maria in America after the war. The starlit forest becomes a dreamscape where hopes can be spoken aloud, even as both lovers recognize the slender thread on which these dreams hang. Meanwhile, at the edge of the guerrilla camp, Pablo disappears into the night with unclear intentions, adding a note of betrayal to the fragile harmony of the group. Within the tense atmosphere of a neighboring guerrilla camp led by El Sordo, plans are discussed for supporting Jordan's bridge operation. The rough wooden table where they gather becomes a war room where limitations become painfully clear. A sudden snowfall, visible through the doorway, creates new complications, eliminating any hope of escape by hiding tracks. Jordan realizes the mission will likely be a suicide operation. Later, from a rocky overlook, Jordan and Primitivo helplessly watch as fascist forces surround and attack El Sordo's position on a distant hilltop. The elevated vantage point becomes a theater of helplessness as they witness their allies fight to the death, unable to offer assistance without compromising their own critical mission. The snow-covered landscape transforms into a white page where the dark events of war are starkly recorded in trails of footprints and blood. return to the main cave where Pablo, having returned after stealing and disposing of Jordan's detonators, announces a change of heart. The cave now feels like a courtroom, as Pablo faces the group's suspicion and anger, while offering his renewed commitment and additional men for the mission. The operation proceeds the next morning at the bridge despite the knowledge that the main Republican offensive has failed, rendering their action potentially meaningless. The breach becomes the focal point of concentrated violence as Jordan's guerrillas engage with fascist forces while he plants explosives. Amid flying bullets and the thunder of the exploding bridge, Jordan is gravely wounded by a tank shell that crushes his leg. In the aftermath of battle at the base of a tree where his companions leave him at his insistence, Jordan faces his final moments alone with his thoughts and a weapon to delay the enemy and allow Maria to escape.